Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I'm going to be briefly giving a speech on almost becoming a millionaire with JavaScript. More specifically, just because, bragging rights, but 1,000 lines of JavaScript as well. So actually, just, I guess, to give myself a basic introduction, I'm Luke. I work for a company called Synechron. We are hiring. I think I might have a that has very much been changed from my Bahamas background to represent the Belfast weather. But I'm a 17-year-old programmer, so I'm still in university. I go to the Open University. I do computing and IT for my bachelor's degree. And my background is very heavily startups, so you'll see me quite often giving sort of speeches about startups. And I guess just to give a bit more of an introduction to myself, um, I have quite recently, it's been pointed out to me that, if I just grow up a bit, I look a little bit like Sam Bankman-Fried. If you don't know who that is, just give him a bit of an introduction. He was, the CEO of a company called FTX. I can't really think of any major issues going on with that company at the minute, but they did allegedly create $1 billion fraud. And Sam's kind of famous because in investor meetings, he decided that he was going to play League of Legends and got some fairly big, well-known investors to really love him. FOMO investors call him a genius. So a bit of an introduction, just a bit of a comparison, Sam, with myself. Sorry, this is something that actually happened. I played Minecraft while in investor meetings, so a bit of a similarity there. Rest downhill. So I don't kick emotional support puppies. I'm not saying that Sam's ever done that. I am saying that he has allegedly committed $1 billion fraud. Take with that what you will. I am a financial services programmer, as I pointed out. More specifically, I do UX/UI work, and occasionally I get ideas. So, kind of a background to what I was doing here, or kind of what this picture is representing is before I had my job, I used to be friends with quite a lot of recruiters. And that's a bit tricky because sometimes you get recruiters coming to you effectively saying that they have trouble hiring developers. And I don't really see where that comes from. So, what I decided to do was because one of my very well-known recruiter friends was in a job, about to get fired from their job. I decided that, we have all of this data on a very specific site. Please don't hate me. Very publicly available information with some information about whether developers are, up for being hired or not. And you can kind of web script. Yeah, we'll get into legality in a minute. So you get these like codehub.com and you've got some, personal information, my name, my email address, all of my code data. And then you get this kind of public facing API with some, interesting. And, if you get a bit hacky like I do occasionally, you can just, send some colors and yeah. So basically what I done here was I decided I wanted to crawl the entirety of this website. And just to give you a bit of a scale on this, this is, millions and millions of web pages if you're not following the robots txt. And this is, how I've done this effectively was, using Python. So I do feel like a bit of a phony here in comparison to some live coding, but there is JavaScript equivalent, so I will talk about that today. But effectively, what you can do is you can throw up a Terraform server with millions of Lambda functions, all containing the exact same, just the HTTP code. And you have a bunch of Lambda functions. And then you basically just take the AWS SDKs, so the JavaScript ones or the Boto free for Python, and you kind of just get it to multi-thread recursively going for each of these pages and building out a database of the data that kind of already exists. And you get some data processing system, so a database or some sort of system that you can serve it back, and then you throw up a next up. And what you kind of get is your minimal lovable product, which simply means what is the minimum thing that people will buy into. And so you've got your fictitious startup and a little, find your rock star developer and some search queries. So basically what I did was I then seeded from that data, can I tell, like, if a recruiter is going to search for a developer with 20 years experience in C#, can I give them some sort of English interface to do that without, typing in some JSON? And the very simple answer to that is yes. And that's represented. We didn't actually go through with either of these. We didn't go through with the investment or the sale. And just to be clear, I'm not representing any companies here today. I'm representing myself to avoid some legality issues for them. But you can quite easily, one sale for us was about 100,000 in profit, and that's for a year subscription for our data access effectively. One investment, one investment represents about $1 million in about span of 2 months. And the legality behind this, it's GDPR, legitimate interest of people being hired effectively, except for when you want to contact them with job offers. So that's a bit complicated. I will get into the GDPR stuff another day, but effectively we got shut down by the ICO, had to kind of effectively then go back and tell all of our customers, we can't take your money. And getting on to that. So I guess there's another side to this talk, which is I want to kind of say that although this didn't go particularly well for me, create stuff anyways, because there's 1,000,001 problems in the world. And if you're thinking like all the good ideas or all the good problems have kind of been stolen in the world, if there is capitalism, there is a problem to be solved. Until everything is perfect in the world, there is money to be made somewhere. So kind of just don't care what people think, just create nice stuff and people will come if they care about your products. Like your marketing budget can be as low as $1 as long as people care. And the second piece of advice I would give you, very ironically, is be selective with the advice that you're given and look very closely at where it comes from, why you're being given it, when you're being given it, and how you're being given it. So if someone's some, very wealthy investor, they're very likely to want to make some money off of your deal. So consider maybe that they have some incentive, or if you're getting some advice from, say, your mom or something, someone like this, consider when the advice was created. Did they originally create it in the moment for your situation, or is it some generic piece of advice that's been given like time and time again? And the last piece of advice that I would give you just to end off the night is do work that keeps you in flow. And what this simply means is do something where your challenge level is equal to your skill level. And if you feel like you can't do something, just keep learning and keep cutting back the barriers of what limits you. So that's all from me tonight. I think I'm the shortest talk tonight, so I'm happy to take any questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Luke. Very, very interesting talk and kind of a little journey in progress. So again, any questions fire in the chat, or if you want to unmute, work away. Actually, kind of question, like you mentioned, like, you were doing all this while you were going through like Open University, or you were this before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, where did you learn the skills to set up Terraform, set up all these like things on Amazon, do all that crawling? Like, where'd that come from? That's
a long story. So that all kind of comes from just years of being very curious and having to create hacky solutions. Like, effectively, I realized I was doing this a very non-hacky way, which is just sending requests to the API directly. And then I realized you're getting some limitations of like 1,000 requests an hour or something crazy like this. I'm just like, what? That doesn't make sense. So I'm like, what's the very simplest way I can do this? And you start Googling around and you kind of learn things. But for me personally, I think it's just been a case of I get curious and learn all of this over like the span of 6 months to a year.
Okay, cool. And actually, it was interesting you mentioned like, like the legalities around like web crawling. Like I've done like web crawl in the past. Like, I think I built an app that web crawled the council's site to get whatever bin had been collected, because you had to click through like 5 pages. Like for those, I'm assuming for those kind of use cases, you're totally fine. Like if you're
Yeah.
going large scale, yeah.
Yeah, you're totally fine. For most cases of web scraping, it's all totally legal. Web scraping is quite well legalized. Like even for what I was doing, my part of it was completely legal. Actually, where the part comes in that isn't so legal is recruiters, because of the way recruiters are treated under the law, they're effectively treated as marketers. Recruiters can't email candidates without permission. And this is where GDPR kind of comes into force. But there is so many like, GDPR seems really scary at first, but there's so many exceptions to GDPR, which is like getting people hired or, doing the public service work, as you were mentioning. So yeah, web scraping's, even in the US, it's even better again. Like there's a very famous case, Microsoft v. LinkedIn, or Microsoft v. LinkedIn. This company versus LinkedIn, effectively, where they were web scraping LinkedIn for, candidates' data, and they completely obliterated Microsoft in that case. So yeah, it's very, very well legalized now.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Even like this like sparks a lot of like kind of like thought and inspiration for like different types of things you can do with web crawling, like and it there's actually, like, if anyone follows like the company LogRocket have a podcast they released recently about like reverse engineering public APIs, where like if you hit a site you find out so much information that potentially isn't visible to you. So plenty of really good interesting takeaways there. So yeah, okay, cool. I like it. Thank you very much.